Alright, YouTube. So this is my first stream, and my name's Kyle Espinola, and I'm an infrastructure engineer, and I wanted to, take some time every once in a while to kind of live cast what I've been working on. And today, something that's particularly piqued my interest is Jenkins X and running it on a Kubernetes cluster. So this video, I want to see if we can set up an EKS cluster that's able to run Jenkins X, has the right auth settings, and then we're going to follow the bootstrap instructions. I've already done it once, so I got a good feel, so we shouldn't be fumbling around so much. And then Jenkins X has a concept of quick start projects. That's pretty interesting to kind of get you going, or if you were a team and you needed to get, say, a Go service up, you can launch a quick start that will create the repository and the project and connect it into the Jenkins X service that you have running in your cluster. And then if we get lucky, we'll try to trigger a service deployment. Some items when I was first trying to run through this, my intent was to run it on Kind and do a local Kubernetes cluster, but I kind of ran into some issues on that. I have a ticket open if we wanted to take a look real quick. I don't know if they got back to me. Jenkins X GitHub. Issues. Tecton. Let's see, author. Oh, I gotta sign in. Let's take this screen down while I put on my auth codes. Hopefully I don't fall too faux pas to flashing auth credentials as I do this, but we'll see how it goes. If I do, let me know and I'll switch my stuff out. Don't abuse. Author Kyle. Yeah, unable to boot Kind cluster. Any other response? Nah, I wouldn't imagine. I opened this yesterday and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna just do it on EKS, and I know that they say their support for EKS and GC is kind of what they advertise, but I got things going. I'm setting up always when you're running a KX cluster on your machine, it's kind of the port mapping that comes into play. So this is just to be able to do some ingress routing. That seemed to go. I initially got stuck on Nginx ingress not being able to resolve, but I set that up for kind of the local minikube or Kind. But really what held me up was kind of some DNS resolution on github.com, which did not occur when I set this up in EKS yesterday afternoon. This is kind of where I left off, is this Lighthouse and Tide. And Lighthouse is the webhook engine. I don't know what Tide is. I'll have to go look into that. But this is kind of where I left off with Kind, and we'll see what happens with this. But EKS went a lot further, so I didn't fully get to an app running, but I think there's enough to merit a good stream. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. These are the notes I have. So to get kicked off first, we need to set up an EKS cluster with EKS CTL. This was my first time using this tool. I thought it would be good for this because it does advertise a real quick kind of get a cluster up and running, and some of my colleagues had kind of validated that, and it does leave up to it. This kind of create cluster will get you a cluster up, and we're going to use this file pretext to just define a little bit. Where I had problems with it when I was trying to debug things as I went, and maybe I missed a permission or two, was on patching. It doesn't seem like they have an equivalent to an apply right now. There's a active issue, GitHub EKS CTL apply. let's figure it out. We're going to be doing some Googling around. We get this, but apply EKS CTL apply -F. I think that's what I saw in the apply, obviously way too vague of a search term. Well, anyhow, they don't really have one. I was kind of looking at it. It's a lot of like a destroy and recreate, which isn't really what we want to do, especially when I'm just trying to patch permissions. So we're going to make sure we try and get it right the first time. This is what I have going, this SB demo. My last name is Espinola, so there'll be a lot of like SB. SB is the name of my computer. So it really came down to attaching another policy. I got all the way to the quick starter yesterday afternoon and it was halted with trying to push to ECR. So I'm going to go ahead and attach a kind of God mode access policy to the node group so that the job that's trying to push to ECR is able to. And I know I'm going to tear this down later, but that will be good to get us going. So I'll go to IAM and review the full access. When I reviewed, it gives it 3 kind of like some defaults, and one of them is just like I can pull but not push. So they're by default an EKS cluster, at least with EKS CTL, and I think Terraform too, isn't going to let you push to ECR. So we're going to look for Elastic Container Registry or ECR, full access container. Where are you? Amazon EC2 container service role, full access, provide administrative access, and what we're really looking for is, so that's everything. Do we have something that lets you push, right, but does not allow deletion of, what's that let you do? Put image, but does not allow deletion or policy change. That seems pretty good. Better than the full access. So we're gonna get the ARN for this Amazon role, which is here, and plop it in this block. Oop. Okay. Before I made one that just gave it to access to one repo, but this is going to give it the ability for, so when it does a quick starter, it creates a repo and then tries to push to the container repository that you registered with Jenkins X when you booted it. And this is going to allow it to. Also, I started doing with a medium 1, and that got Jenkins X started, but when we started to add a workload, I couldn't schedule any more nodes. So this is what we're going to try and create right here with an EKS CTL, not a delete, EKS CTL cluster, create -F for file, and then point to the one there. Create, then cluster. Okay. This is gonna take a few minutes, so in the meantime, let's give we'll check in every once in a while and see what's being created. So just to start, and what's gonna take forever is like provisioning the EKS cluster. It really does take good like 10-15 minutes. This is how much time we can burn. We'll look at the Jenkins documentation in the meantime, but what is happening is we have nothing yet, so let's at least get deploying stacks. Yeah, it uses CloudFormation to make these, so we'll watch CloudFormation. Actually is pretty good feel for what's going on. Stacks EKS demo cluster, so it's everything that it's attempting to manage here. Always kicks it off with making some networking resources. I think it sets up a VPC. Yeah, it creates it's a dedicated VPC, so that comes up fairly quick. Except for we got some public subnets, and it's also putting these nodes in the public domains. And I mean, you can't log into them. I didn't attach an SSH key, but when we do maybe a video on like a prod ready K8s cluster, we'll talk about getting stuff in private subnets and lockdown and a proper setup. Create in progress. So control plane. So this is what takes forever. Can I link to this? No, it doesn't link. I guess only after it's created do you get the little quick link. But we can go to EKS. Now it's up. SB demo. Kubernetes 114. And yeah, this is gonna take a quick second. And when I say quick, I mean very slow. But again, so let's kind of mark that off. We're set up EKS cluster, and we gave it access to push things to ECR. And then the next is really just kind of following the bootstrap instructions. So let's preview those. Jenkins X. Alright, so what is Jenkins X? It is from the same people that give us traditional server-side Jenkins, and it's just a really opinionated release pipeline and service management flow for Kubernetes. We're going to kind of go over like what they're preaching. If you're into it, then it's a good fit, because since it's opinionated, it's getting more extensible, especially this last, like, I'm trying to remove this, but apparently I can't. Let it extend, but it does kind of follow a strict workflow, and there's certain pieces that you can swap out. One of the notable ones is the ingress solution from like Glue. If you want to Istio or you want to use Nginx, ingress is kind of an example of where you can swap things out, but it's really at the chart level. Some of the principle there, pretty fast. I did the quick start, and taking you from running a quick start command, choosing your stack like Golang. I was trying to do a Golang HTTP server, and I fired that off, and it creates a repository, attempts to set up the webhooks, and was firing off a job to deploy it in the cluster before I hit ECR problems. This is a good look at kind of the models at play and the relationships. So they do have like a team has applications, user belongs to a team, GitHub repository is linked to an app. It's pretty critical. It's very GitOps focused, so everything is tied to a GitHub repository from each of the clusters that are set up to all the applications. And then pipelines. Application has many pipelines. I mean, the pipeline's what's taking us from you commit something, it pulls it builds the container, and it updates the service. I don't know so much the variation that's going to happening there. And then versioning is good. I need to look more into their versioning specs. I think the place I look to the most, and they have Knative support in this. It looks like it's something you have to enable. I don't know if this is what they mean when they say versioning in there, but Knative is a Google project that is adding, it talks about doing functions as a service, like serverless workloads on Kubernetes, but it really does have just great constructs for managing applications, and that's going to be this service and routing and configuration and revisions, where it talks about versioning, like every change to an environment variable, pushing up a new commit results in a revision, and it does a great job of working with Istio to switch route traffic between the revisions, which is something you're looking for if you're going to do blue-green deploys or canary deploys. So if you're looking for a good resource to think about point of like what to consider in versioning for K8s. Give Knative serving a read. Let's see, check back in on our cluster. So it's still deploying the stack. It's going to be spinning a while on getting the EKS items up. I mean, the basis, we're getting a load balancer, we're getting some compute nodes, it's setting up an etcd cluster, setting up logging into CloudWatch. We don't have too much. I think it's all disabled. It might flip on. What we had here was what I'm going to log. Yeah, back to here. Kubernetes Doctor. It's all about Helm for Jenkins X too. So if you're not a Helm fan, then you probably should just turn around right now. However, Helm is a solid tool. I mean, it gives us templating. It gives us the ability to manage releases. That's probably the weakest bit, is the release management, but templating of itself is powerful enough, and I'm happy they don't try to go too much into the release management, because it's a big area. I mean, this whole service here is meant to power that, and it's using Helm. So the basic JX is you have a JX API, which we can interact to with the command line tool or through the user interface. So it's cooking around a little bit. We have webhooks that fire off. That's going to be the Lighthouse component, is the webhook service. It's based off of Prow, which is the Kubernetes webhooks project. I guess we can go look that up as we talk about stuff. Why not? Working with Prow, test infra. No, it's not it. Prow Istio. Is this it? Oh yeah, Prow. Test infra. Kubernetes test infra Prow. Yeah, this is the good. Prow is a Kubernetes-based CI/CD system, jobs triggered by various GitHub actions. So doing those slash commands to get things going. And Knative pulls that in and offers you slash command functionality to interact with the cluster outside of like the UI or the command line tool. And yeah, then we're going to use some jobs. We're doing serverless, so we're not actually running our traditional Jenkins server. It's going to run some jobs, build the containers using Canico, which I have. This will be my first time kind of working with it, even though we're not necessarily setting things up. I think it's enabled by default, but I'm definitely would encourage people to give it a look. The biggest kind of thing that might immediately get you going is the fact that the Docker layer caches are pushed to a remote blob repository. So in this case, like GCS or S3. And this is really great for things where you don't want to manage the disk on the machine. So your volume, like you don't want your Docker layers to overflow or anything. So this offshoots them into S3 and it makes it so you can switch out the nodes a lot easier and not be managing volumes to ensure that you get your layer caching, which is fantastic. But then where we're going. Feature set. About documentation. So on the first run, I used the traditional. I really wanted to use Helm 3. I'm like not about setting up the tiller anymore. And that's only offered in their Labs edition. So this is going to be like the next version, not stable, that we're going to be using. But I think it works well enough, and it's pretty sweet. Let's look at some of the benefits of it. They have that listed out. So no templating. They're just using Helm 3 for it. Multi-cluster support, which I was kind of hoping was in the first version, but I guess we'll have to get it in this go. Meaning like your staging environment is strapped to or linked to a staging cluster, and production is linked to a production cluster, so that they don't those workloads don't ever run on the same machines. And they did this app setup where it seems like there's a lot easier to add Helm charts and configure Helm charts, because it's using kind of like Chart Museum for an API into the repositories. You can do like Istio or Jenkins X for the ingress solution, and it has Flagger support for doing canary deploys. I don't know what Kuber Healthy is. Bucket Repo, I was just reviewing that. That is an alternate to this Nexus, which is a kind of like artifact, an artifactory, where it can keep like npm packages. It's talking Java binaries, but this is a more minimal one. I don't do any Java programming, so that support wasn't necessarily needed. So this Bucket Repo seems like it booted up, and if it's not a big Elasticsearch app, which I think the Nexus was. I could be off on that. If you know more about it, feel free to leave a comment. But those are the benefits. We're definitely doing this right now, which is getting things set up. G-Cloud, the company I work for, we run on Amazon, so I do a little bit of Google Cloud playing around, but I would say the offering over there, if you're looking to get started, is really good. But I think Amazon is where the default for running corporate workloads, so we're going to focus on that because great, cool. The cluster came active, and now it's going to do our node group T2s. So we had two T mediums. EC2. How would I rate my experience with this service console? It's getting better. Overall, I wish Amazon would kind of like tie things together. I mean, it's definitely like kind of restfully laid out, each service, but a lot of this stuff intertwines, and I know maybe they're starting to work on that a little bit with some of the management tools. However, it just doesn't all feel always completely cohesive, though. Like, I know VPCs are used all over the place, and do we have any instances? How would I rate the service? I would probably put it at like a 3. Room for improvement, but getting the job done. All right, we got our 2 nodes going. I am curious to see if that extra policy got attached, which would really be the thing that's gonna make or break this. Let's see here. Container registry power user. Is that it? Full list read and limited write. Yeah. Ugh. That's what I did. All right, registry power user. Let's go to check. Do a split. Let that keep running. Container registry power user. Perfect. Okay, so nodes can push to ECR. Pods are going to be running on the nodes. So by proxy, the pod running the job is going to be able to push to ECR, which I did not get to. Did not get to yesterday. All right, so they're up, they're running. We are a few shakes away from being able to connect to this EKS cluster. Changing the ways. Those, when I was talking about some of the public access, they are moving to running everything in the private nodes. I read this little blurb. Public accessible, using IMOP. What's on these updates? Enabled. Okay, initializing. All right, let's get to the steps we're gonna follow. So that was setting up the cluster. I noted there with kind, but then what is gonna go and get everything going is the JXL boot create. The main argument is the provider, which has the most bearing on what workflow it uses. We'll kick this off and we'll see what gets going, but let's go to like read what's gonna happen when we do this. So again, we're in the labs. So create repository is I think where we're at. Yeah. Once you are connected to your Kubernetes cluster, which we're going to be in a second, can I exit this? Please, thank you. Kubernetes fresh install. Okay, creates a repository per default as private. That's great. I have a private org we can create. I have an org we can play crowd repos. So provider. We're going to do EKS. Here's that Nexus. This will avoid Nexus and Charmin. So yeah, I'm going to use this bucket repo. That looks really good. Using multiple clusters. Not there yet. I do want to set up Istio, and I did try TLS and external DNS. I think I want to roll that back. I'll go set up DNS entry, like a star entry for the cluster in the console, or like my little Terraform project. So we won't do external DNS, and we'll try TLS. I don't know. I'm not going to stream for too long, but that's what we're trying to activate Istio. We're gonna do bucket repo instead of chart museum in this Nexus project. We're gonna do EKS. Okay. To become ready, I believe you are. That's what the Amazon console says. Okay, config, get context, okay, get nodes. No, I guess not. No resources found. Okay. Not quite there. I'm running. I think 2 shakes. Some of the stuff I did here. Building clusters. Yeah, so it uses. Let's go check out the cloud formation while we wait. A bit more. So what do I got? So that was the EKS cluster, and then it did the node group. So create in progress. I mean, it seems like everything's going. Security groups. Did a launch template. Ingress, intra, cluster, security groups. Okay. Oh, all right. It's like, what is that? So cluster can talk to the nodes. Nodes can talk to each other almost on most every port. All right, we good? Stacks are all completed. Still waiting. All right, keep doing sneak peeks. Secrets. We'll kind of cover each one of those as we go. I really want this to finish. I guess we can look more at some of the concepts behind Jenkins X. Lower the failure rate, faster mean time to recovery. These are all great things. Loosely coupled architecture, automated provisioning, continuous builds. It is really great that it's getting the build, and I'm particularly happy that they went with like embracing Tecton and on this because it's it's focused on running jobs and pipelines, and they, being that it's Jenkins, I could have, well, they support regular Jenkins servers on it, but kudos for embracing some another project. I'm sure, I don't know if you all make contributions to it, Jenkins folks, but I imagine you do. Components, diagrams, features, Jenkins X pipelines. This is something I haven't read too much because we haven't gotten there. Pipelines use Tecton, yeah. Build packs. What's a build pack? I saw that. Build pack. Build packs. Build packs. Turning source code into applications on Kubernetes. Okay, we use draft style build packs for different language runtimes and build tools to add the necessary configurations files to projects as we import them or create them. All right, that's what gets us the quick starters. The build pack setup, pre-builds, lifecycle hooks, extending, creating a new build pack. I will look into this in another video because it's an awesome feature that they got. What's happening here? Saved. Why are these nodes not coming up? What's your problem? Well, I mean, I'm not gonna waste my time. Let's do something else while we wait. I was working on my Terraform repo, and I had this policy made in this repository, but we are going to delete them. Let's get that out of there. What we had here was a policy to just write to this one repo, but Jenkins X is going to do the crates of the repos. Hopefully it manages the destroys, but we'll see how that goes. So I don't need all this in here. Terraform apply. Destroy it. I'm done with that task. Oh, come on. No issues found in the default. And can I get namespaces? Alright. 17 minutes. This thing's been up for 17 minutes. What's the prob? I am wondering what is the deal. So, can we use session manager? I don't think I set that up. Yeah, connect browser base connection root. Got anything? No, I use this. I use Session Manager, but this must be like V1. brutal. Kube system. Alright, pending. Alright, what's going on? Let's see if there's something we can debug. Describe our core DNS pods. What's your problem? No nodes available to schedule on. Okay, yeah, that is a problem. I don't get the deal with these guys. You've been up for a sec. Okay, let's let's cut some of these out, kick out of here. I mean, is it idempotent if I just rerun it? Let's see if it gives us something different. Yeah, already exists. Okay. Help. Set values, upgrade, get scale, EKS, CTL, scale, help. Scale the node group, give the name, numbers of nodes, the region, alias ng. Alright, well, let's try scaling it. I wonder if I didn't attach enough policies onto it. That's really what it is, huh? Let's... Alright, so they do a deal where we can at least manage the node group. So we're going to make a new set of nodes and I'm not going to touch. I'm not going to set anything here. Still 2, and we'll call this normal. And let's see if we can get a new node group added to here. EKS, CTL, scale, update cluster. No, I wanted to scale. Can you do scale node group? Create node group, config. Let's see if that works. Alright, so we got a little, we can see what happens. I was hoping it would delete the T2s, but it doesn't look like it did that. We found our node group normal, and we'll use an AMI. Was included based on include exclude rules, combined exclude rules T2. No new group present in the current set. Stack for one new group in cluster, checking cluster stack for missing resources. No Fargate. Okay, it's deploying the normal, and I don't think we're deleting this one. Let's see how quickly if we can get some. No, I'm like, let's look at our IAM policies again. At the IAM policies again. Yeah. There's supposed to be stuff for. There's more. There's be a couple more here. See if we get it in this one. Cloud formation. That's what is the instance role? Instance profile. Okay. And bingo. Registry EKS CNI policy, worker node policy. This is probably the thing that was killing us. Well, I mean, why didn't it add it? Deal. All right, now we're in business. I'm going to destroy those T2s. Do I have like 4 instances coming up? No, you still only got the T's registered. Auto scaling groups. Activity. Oh yeah. I don't even got the ASG yet. Let's see if I can delete in. Create, delete node group. And they have this concept of include, so T2. Oops, not TW. All right. Okay, they're getting created now. Let's see. Oh, 4 of them. I have a large hunch that that's gonna be finished. T2s, and I'll make it exactly like it was, and then we'll delete this. Oops. Alright, and let's try that delete again. I'm gonna sit down. No changes, you gotta run approve. But what did you find? Would delete no group from cluster and drain no clip. Yeah, that's what I want. Hasta luego. Right. Now we can do stuff. Okay, get nodes. Hey. Get pods. All namespaces. Okay. Kubernetes, proxy, AWS nodes are. We can imply some IPs and we can run around. Alright, let's get into it. I apologize for that. I was trying to help us and I didn't. Let's boot. Let's run the boot command. This getting started with the JXL, it is like a special binary. It's not the. It's their lab edition. There it is. You just they have the releases and you can just download it. But you know, make sure you knew everything. Getting started. Create repository. All right, let's do it. Create root. Let's start with this. And EKS. We're going to do a couple other things. Repository, bucket repo. Repository, bucket repo. And no multi-cloud. Ingress, we do want to use Istio. I checked it out. They do just disable a lot of things. So it's really just the gateway to get going, which is fantastic because there's a lot of things you can activate on Istio that make it a bit overwhelming if you're just starting with it. I mean, I haven't even really, I only use the gateway, these two items here, gateway and virtual servers. And then I'm not going to be setting up TLS or external DNS for this. We'll do a star CNAME. All right. SB demo, yes. Get environment, owner name for environment, that is me. No, I want it to be Espanola Designs. Espanola Designs. Yes, it's okay. You make private repos, and then the owner, that's my GitHub handle. Get out of this. TLS is not enabled, so your webhooks will be called using TLS. This means that your secrets will be sent. Okay, we are going to incur that, but I'm not going to set this up for very long. All right. Connecting. We're not going to upgrade the versions. Error. Well, team settings. Yeah, I don't have any team settings right now. But more CloudFormation. So if we're setting up Jenkins X on EKS, it's going to use CloudFormation. So that's, I mean, that's actually pretty sweet that they, you know, went the very Amazon when setting up the Amazon. When setting it up on Amazon, you know, because now we can come in here and review everything. External DNS, Jenkins X policies, cert manager. It did attach those even though it didn't enable them, but I guess you can make the policies. So some of them look like. I mean, cert manager just needs to be able to write to Route 53, yeah. Okay, building IAM service account, stacks, created service account, JX UI. So they have a UI. We'll try to click around it. While this is going, I will also pull up and we'll give a look what's like happening in the cluster. So we said we got a new namespace. We do. GitHub, Espanola Designs, environment, SP demo dev. Yep. I did it. I already created it, but it's gonna actually write over everything, which is good. All right. So then, what is particularly nifty at this point? It hasn't set up anything. It just made the namespaces. So like if we get all in namespace JX, which is where most everything is going to be deployed. I guess there's cert manager. Why is cert manager come online? So there's nothing in there. Let's see what's in this cert manager. Okay, nothing there either. If you're wondering what cert manager is, cert manager Kubernetes. It's a operator. These folks at JetStack, and it is working with like an issuer, Let's Encrypt Vault, and making TLS certificates on the fly. So it's particular. It's quite nice. All right. So what it did is it made this repository, and this is the nifty bit. If we kind of go check out settings, webhooks. This is an old one. I'm gonna delete. I'm gonna delete this hook. Actually, I'll keep it in. So it's gonna have some webhook features. So when it pushes, this is gonna go to that lighthouse and starts like applying updates on the cluster. So even cluster management is Git ops for you to start, or from the get-go. The main things to tweak are in here. So provider EKS dev, and I had some notes when I first ran this of items that it threw an error on, and one was project and the other was repository. So we're gonna make sure we have those set up. So let's get out of here. ls go into my code directory, and I'm gonna remove environment, and then we'll clone it again so we get everything fresh. Not that one. Clone, okay. There we are. Okay. So Jenkins, if you kind of review their docs, this JX requirement is the top level configuration settings, and they have these all typed out so you can read what each field is. But yeah, when I ran it the first time, what errored out for me, so project, I just set it to the same as the cluster. When I was looking up an issue on this, like if we go and do values, cluster, project, Jenkins X, this was the issue I was reviewing. Can I oh yeah, I guess I can. Put things in. So registry is where I need to get going, and then project. So the project is for GKE, but you don't hear same issue. It said they resolved it. I'm hitting this on EKS, yeah. I'm hitting it, but 2 hours ago. So we're going to set it. Demo. And then registry. We need to get the my ECR account registry. So that's Kubernetes. Repository. You know let's go look at that issue. I'm trying to find the URL of like my accounts registry. So it's ECR registry endpoint US West 2 endpoints. Yeah. Alright, they all follow that pattern, then we'll be good to go. US West 2 ECR. Service endpoints, Docker. Okay, registry ID. Bingo. FIPS. I don't need the FIPS compliant one. Groovy. Put that in. And what is my account ID? Or registry ID? I think that's pretty sure this is my account ID. So I'm gonna show stuff I don't want. Let's bail out of there. Maybe an IAM. Oh, I can do get caller identity. Let's do that. AWS STS get caller identity. There it is. Okay, project registry. Then what happens is we're just going to commit that. Set project cluster project and registry before bootstrapping. And push it up. So what happens is, let's go look at the next thing we need to run. So we did the boot. We have a cluster repo. Let's maybe look a little bit more at what's in the cluster repo. So on the requirements, bucket repo, chart, cluster name, ingress, external DNS off, TLNS off. So the environments, you can set these like the ingress rules per environment. And we're only interacting with the dev cluster right now. I haven't really looked into these, how to get going with the other environments, but if things go well, we can keep checking it out. Oh, ingress, I do want to set the domain up, however, because we can't control that. So requirements. Ingress domain, we're going to use espinoladesigns.com, and it's going to be under the demo cluster, and everything under JX will do like that, and we're not going to do namespacing. Okay. Set ingress domain. So when this boots up and it creates the Istio gateway and we get a load balancer in Amazon, we're going to take that CNAME and associate it to jx.demo.espinoladesigns.com, which will then get these webhooks to resolve. So hooks jx demo espinoladesigns.com. More in here. We'll look at it on GitHub. The white's easier, backdrop's easier to check out. Version streaming, I hadn't checked out. We don't have any storage backend logs or reports enabled. We are using this bucket repo. Canico is set up, and then kind Istio. So you see those flags when we did the JX boot translating into like our configuration as code. The other items that end up coming in is when we boot, it is going to use JX apps, and these are the additional Helm charts that are going to be installed. So since we specified Istio, that's why I have the JX Labs Istio. When you don't, you'll get like an Engine X ingress to show up in here, but we'll have JX boot Helm file resources. I don't know what's in there. They're talking about using Helm files to load everything. So that might be a little bit of a shell script on top of it. I don't know, you can comment back if you have more details on that. Lighthouse is the webhooks provider, and then Tecton's our job our job pipeline system, the GX UI. Bucket repo is the chart museum replacement, so it's going to be our chart repository. And repositories, I think, is a local reference to anything that you put in here. Default group, source repository group. So everything's part of the default group. We'll have to go in a little bit more into detail there. So that is apps. What's in Jenkins X? Build pack get URLs. Okay. And Helm file. System. So it's gonna go load systems Helm file and apps. So if we wanted to add more stuff like cluster wide Helm charts, then that's what it's letting us. I don't know what the difference between repositories and apps though. I think apps is if I have charts. Just for general apps which are installed after things like Ingress, DNS, TLS are set up. All right, Helm file and environments YAML. That's the last one. And all right, just nothing too much there. Okay, so pressing on, we are gonna land some secrets. It's gonna make an admin user. I think these are for the webhooks and running the pipelines and doing Git clones and interacting basically with GitHub is what we're setting up right now. Espanola. And then I do need a personal GitHub token, so I'm going to pull GitHub down into my second screen here and get a token. So you go into settings. I know I don't have it on the screen right now, and then developer settings, personal access tokens. And that's what we're going to use. And you can use that as the password. I kind of got tripped up because on this, it kept asking for my password, and I had MFA, so it wasn't working out. But you can use just any of these personal access tokens as these for this password field. Oh, didn't probably quite stick. Espanola. Let's go. Just build environment. Oh, my cluster. Whoa. Oh, I copied it from the examples and not from what they outputted. There, Espanola Designs. Okay, good. Now, better results. All right, so it writes a secrets file. I'm just gonna set up a little user. Bot user is gonna be me. And the bot user, so same token for the bot user. Okay, so that puts in some locals. It puts it in a secret too. So if we do get secrets namespace JX, that is what we made. It's the boot secret, and it puts it on. So if I do there, it wrote it, but I'm just gonna delete it so I don't commit it and push it. But that sets up a secrets that it needs. So let's kind of do a little review on what it set up for us. I need that. Let's go back to Jenkins X secrets here. You need to specify a few secret values before you can boot up. We don't store the secrets in Git, but use some kind of secrets manager. Over time, we want to support many providers. We currently support Google Secrets Manager and then like K8 Secret. So that's what we ran there. Here's what's being saved. That's what we filled in. And so it's just really the secrets to interact with GitHub, but everything's based off of GitOps. So if we don't have that, enabled, then nothing's going on. All right, so when I reviewed the JX requirements, this is the section on it. It talks about setting up different Git backends. And then artifact repository. Okay, so this is the artifact repository. So when it talks about this Nexus is where I first came across that. So Java jars, tarballs, or npm modules you can store in this Nexus. It just seems pretty cool. I think it should look more into it. But the Jenkins X folks wrote this smaller Go project. Factory, so smaller, so we're just using that. So no storage, ingress. We did enable Istio backups user interface, so that we'll try to get the user interface up, but if the rest of this sets up. So that's the settings. We're not gonna tweak any more than we did. And then finally is to actually boot up the cluster, or boot up Jenkins X in the cluster. And I won't make the same mistake about getting the generic one. So far so good. I mean, we took a bit on the cluster. Apologize. I wish I would have gotten more to script error, or would have just exited out and not just hung there because the policies weren't correct. If we do a more deep dive, and I bet we tailed the CloudWatch, or the Cloud Init, we would have saw that it couldn't connect. All right, Jenkins JXL boot run, and we give it a Git URL. So to authenticate with that right now, as for the same information, I'm using all the same personal token that I just used for this project. Running Helm boot job for cluster SB demo with Git URL. All right, this was particularly exciting about the boot up process of this. I mean, launching a deployment tooling, and especially one that's trying to cover so many things, it definitely has quite a bit of requirements, but they are trying to make it as K8's first install as possible, meaning that even the booting of the tool into the cluster is held in a Helm chart. So to get things off, it's doing a Helm install. Those are the parameters that are going into the chart, and the chart is just running one job, and that's that pod that we're gonna get. And so it's found that pod, and we'll soon get the logs sent over. Ooh, 2 pods, and we can kind of see these if we interact with kubectl. Container creating. Oh, we had an error. Okay, logs falling. Oh. Can I get the secrets? Alright. We'll give it a look. It's kind of strange. We ran the secrets, we saw JX. Bummer. Alright, so I mean, let's nuke. I'll redo that step, and it's easy enough. So we can we need to Helm ls. Do we have any Helm charge right now? And then when I am using Helm version v3, so then we're just gonna delete the Helm chart. I'm gonna run the secrets. And we will leave them on disk to get going. I wonder if I just copy the generated schema to automatically existing value. All right. Anything look off there? It's been a while. I'll delete it. If this doesn't work out, we'll delete the whole secret and recreate it. Because maybe it just didn't update. Alright, helm delete JX boot. MLS. K delete secret. Namespace JX boot secrets. K Espinola. Admin's cool. And secret JX boots. All right, let's one last go here. Oops. Rough. All right. Already present, secret name, boot token, service account. So what I'm expecting to find is secret being volume in particular the one we made with like the secret boot. So let's just describe this or get it and output YAML so we see everything. Volumes, service account. Boot token TQ. Alright, those are the volumes, boot token, and then what gets mounted at /secrets. Nothing does. Why? Let's try recreating everything. So re-enter all secrets. Helm delete. JX boot. My cluster. Secrets edit -a. Admin. All right. Try it one more time. Pretty whack. So this errors out. I'm gonna call it for the day. Yeah. All right. Well, I didn't run into this when I was originally working this out. I'll just have to backtrack and keep going down the path and see why this secrets boot file won't work. But I mean, this is the last step, even though it is a very large step before getting Jenkins X running. So then once we get going, we can launch a quick starter. So I'll try and debug this, and if I figure it out, or I mean, I'm certainly gonna figure it out. I'll just retrace my steps and try to get this going. I'll do another cast, and we can pick up where we left off on trying to get Jenkins X running. So, all right, everyone has a good rest of your afternoon, and I'll see you again soon.